I will hereby call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Sunderland Select Board and Finance Committees. The time is 6:35. All right. Our first order of business will be to approve the Select Board and Finance Committee meetings from 1/13/25.
I motion we approve the minutes from 1/13/25.
Second?
All right, we have a motion made and seconded to approve our minutes from our last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. Wonderful. All righty. Our first order of new business.
We have the old minutes we need to.
Oh, right. That's not on the thing, but yes. Are we prepared to?
I was gonna do those at the business meeting.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to review them anyways.
All right.
I always like to take a quick look over first. All right. So our first order of new business, and today is going to be a budget meeting, is going to be to review the town clerk's budget requests with our town clerk. So Wendy, when you're over ready.
The town clerk side of it is pretty level funded. I have a sheet attached for both elections and town clerk that let you know what I am spending the money on. And I don't know if you have any questions.
26.
Some of these came in.
That's right.
Yeah, the election part went down because we don't have as many elections. And that's Joe, please.
So it was up to 12, and then it's back down to 56 and 6/125 for the election pieces, and that's due to the.
I can't see. It's too small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Wonderful. I don't have any questions. Any questions from the board?
I have no questions.
Oh, okay.
Any questions from the finance committee?
We have these other two sheets that are from fiscal year 25. Were those just included for us so that we have a history, or were they the wrong fiscal year?
The elections,
Yeah.
she had an election sheet and a general.
Right, the elections one say fiscal year 2025, not 2026.
On which,
On the first, like the fiscal year, where it says town clerk elections, those sheets
right.
have fiscal year 2025, not fiscal year 2026.
Do you have a second?
Yeah.
I mean, further over to the right, you're talking this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ones we
If
have.
you go all the way over to the right, it will say FY 26.
26.
And it will say the change between 26.
I think we should just ignore these. This
Yeah,
is
let's
just.
get
Yeah.
Shouldn't have those.
Yeah, there's 3 copies in there. The first 2 are historical.
But this
But
one,
we need the justification.
yeah.
Wait a minute, I should have,
What's this one?
here you go. Okay.
Yeah, so for the election.
Hey, Becky, can you mute Joe, please?
Is it Joe or is it the other one?
I think it's Linda who's trying
Maybe.
to talk. Linda? Can you
No,
hear
that's
me?
me, Joe. That's me, Joe. Sorry, I got to turn the mic off.
We have this too. There's just some other stuff that we have.
There was some other stuff.
Oh,
that
okay.
we need.
Okay.
You can.
Val, do you have a quorum and want to call yourselves to order?
They do
Oh.
now.
Yes, Finance Committee called to order along with the Select Board on January 27th, 2025.
And the date is, I mean, the time is
6:39.
6:39.
Yes, 6:39.
Okay. It's on to order.
All right, yeah, no, I see. Okay, so this is the sheet that's got the
Yes.
everything bundled in. Great. Okay.
I have the least complicated out of everyone.
Believe me, we have a lot more complicated ones come through than yours, for sure.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Elections are condemned, that makes sense.
Yep.
Everything else status quo. You feel comfortable with the ones you have, so.
Yeah.
I will.
There is some in the elections if there's a special town meeting, special election. You know, so that you wouldn't have to go to the reserve fund for that.
Right.
Yep. No, that seems prudent. All right, I think we're good. Anything else final from the finance committee? All right, well, thank you very much, Wendy. We appreciate you coming in.
Have a good night.
You as well. All right, so next up is going to be to review the assessor's budget with the assessors. So, welcome and thank you for coming.
Okay, there's 6 items on the assessor's budget. The first one is the Board of Assessors stipend for fiscal year '26, $8,983.
Okay.
There's no change to that from last year. The administrative assistant, fiscal year '26, $20,433.
Okay.
General expenses, requesting $10,560. And we've got, this for supplies and professional development. There are schools at UMass that sometimes we attend. Franklin County assessors have, their professional workshops. So that's money to pay for those developments.
And I think Roy Bishop is also out of that account.
Roy Bishop, he's he does our values, revals, and double checks our, values in town, commercial, residential, personal property. Computer support is $5,840. Tax maps, everyone's favorite. We come in and look at what's going on, we've got measurements, and we spend half a day looking at those things. $2,400, that's no change. And valuation vendor / reval, that came in at $6,000.
So if I'm reading this correctly, it's level all the way down, same
Correct.
cost all the way down.
down.
Okay.
I don't understand why the second to the last column on the right has dollar changes and includes 994 for the assessor's administrative assistant, but the numbers are the same between 25 and 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something funky going on with those last two columns with the,
Apologize, they did correct that.
Okay, so those should be zeros.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Zero.
24 to 25.
And 25
change,
to
and we
26.
caught that, and I tried to,
yeah, no, that's why I
That
was
changed.
confirming that the for year 25 and the for year
It is
26 are the
zero.
same, and that's why I was
So it makes
confirming.
it
it.
zero.
So it should be a zero
It's a
across.
level fund.
Yep. Okay.
I did get her formula changed in her spreadsheet.
Will the administrative assistant have a COLA? Will that bump that up? So that explains the 24 to 25 increase. So something similar.
Maybe, maybe not. What they're asking for is for the personnel board to look at a market alignment, and they're looking, the assessors are looking for an increase in wage for their clerk, their administrative person. But that'll be a conversation with the personnel board. And it would, no matter where it is, the rate she's getting is less than what's in the budget. So after that's settled, that budget line potentially will come down a bit. Because right now, that budget line is based on the prior administrative assessor, and he was making $29 an hour, and she's making much less.
So there's room in that budget, however that shakes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've already submitted to the personnel?
They just talked to me about it
Okay.
today, and
Yeah,
I've got
we met-
notes
we
to.
met this afternoon
Okay.
Great.
regarding that item.
Okay.
And on the last line, the reval, I don't know if this is just not filled in, but in 24 and 25, there's no money expended, but has there been, or is it somewhere else in a different line?
I'm not sure. I have to get back to you on that.
That's fine, that's why we do these now, so we just have a couple of questions.
Oftentimes, the big reval is every 5 years. So typically, they'll put money aside for a number of years to have money to pay for the big reval.
So that every 5-year reval will be $30,000, and so they put $6,000 aside for 5 years and then do it? Is that how that works?
Yeah. Potentially. And so and they could get it for less, but that's the idea, to have money available to do the full.
So that rolls over.
Yes, it's a rollover line.
Sometimes they have 5 to 6 people working on reval. It's expensive.
Do you remember offhand what year the next reval is going to be?
Let's see, 3 years from now,
Okay.
every 5 years.
28?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the finance committee? Anything from our friends online? Crystal, Dan, anything?
I'm fine.
I'm okay with this.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you very much. We appreciate it and appreciate everything you do. All righty. Our next budget is going to be our treasurer collector. Heather, thank you for joining us. All right, let me pull yours up.
So I don't have a ton to discuss, but you guys can obviously fire questions at me. The only one major thing I have is that my software is going to be non-existent in June. So we're looking at another software company.
Okay.
So you'll see that my account is not status quo, but it's got a little more in there to help cover the cost of going to a different software company. You'll see the postage went up a little bit, so that's why I'm a little bit more now.
Yeah, actually, give us a second because I'm not seeing. We have a treasurer one, but that just looks like it's health insurance on it.
No, the treasurer one is the one you gave me.
What?
This is what you gave me, right?
I gave you copies of all these.
I'm sorry, then what you sent me this afternoon I thought was everything.
Let me
It
pull
should
up.
have. Oh, thank you.
Let me
Yeah, it
pull
should
up
have.
the.
You only said one page with health insurance, life insurance, health insurance.
Yeah, no, it was all.
I'm sorry, it didn't
Well,
print, so
do
let
you want
me-
me to run down and make copies of this?
Let me do it while you speak, okay? You do the health insurance and tell them all the good news.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell us about health insurance.
So yeah, health insurance.
Yeah.
We're not too impressed with that. As you guys are looking at it, I did talk to the insurance company and they did say it's going to be in the high teens, the increase. So what you guys are looking at right now, I figured in the 18% increase,
Okay.
which I'm hoping it's not gonna be that much, but I won't know in probably for a couple more weeks.
And just on the FY '25, I see it's almost fully expended. Is the cycle calendar year? So is that the end of that? Like how-
Fiscal year,
Right,
it should be fiscal year.
okay.
So
But if we've already expended 541,000 out of the 554,000 budget, are we tracking to go significantly over this fiscal year?
We shouldn't. I don't know if that.
So is health insurance, do you pay just yearly for everybody, or is it a monthly payment that comes up? It is.
because it seems a little
So
concerning.
I'm looking at the expended for '24 and expended for '25, and I think that the first column, the 389, 280, 238, that's this year. I don't think it's the other way around. I think that that's the expended for this year, but
That'd be,
So 24 is 25 and 25 is 24.
but no, because there was a huge increase. There was about that much of an increase last year, and that might be,
That's an increase.
yeah, that's the increase.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
well, we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Let's assume we are on track. So I see the percentage change being requested is 25.5%,
right.
and that's to absorb an 18% increase.
Yeah.
Plus the 2 new family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the,
I always build-
Now, maybe this is a dumb question, but can we look at other insurers if the rates are going up by so much, or is this just, no matter where we look, we're gonna find that we're looking at this kind of rates?
Well, there is another company that we are currently looking into right now, that we used to be part of. I don't know if we're able to join them or not. I know Becky was talking about, she was gonna try to give them a call.
Okay,
But I will tell you, pretty much across the board, every insurance company is, the claims are high, and so it's probably gonna be right around this
Mhm.
amount.
It's just, it's a large step 2 years in a row to take.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
if it happens again next year, I mean, like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to continue doing that indefinitely, you know?
I will tell you that I am looking to go through our plan to see if there's anywhere that I can kind of shave off to help the whole increase.
Mm-hmm.
It- You know, I mean, it'll ultimately come into the plan's pockets. I mean, it depends on, you know, it's each person, but I understand that, you know, the town can't keep going through with this. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, over a 2-year period, seeing,
Yeah.
you know, that much of an increase is
Yep,
hard to swallow for sure.
it's very, very,
Um,
very.
Okay,
So it's, yeah, it's 2 years, almost 200 grand, yeah.
yeah, exactly, and not just almost that much, that'd be one thing if it was going from 10 million to 10.3 or something like that, but it's almost doubling there in that period of time.
And how much of this increase, specifically with like contextually is driven? What is the baseline increase for health insurance plans versus the additional amount due to our utilization? Just we have an idea of like how much of our utilization is driving this higher than what other plans that are similar to ours might be experiencing?
From my understanding is, and maybe I'm not answering your question right, but from what my understanding is that we have some high claims.
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's part of our
yes.
utilization, so it's higher. Do they say, when they were talking, you know, low 20s or high teens, like what the baseline increase is? Is it 10 or 4
I think they're looking at 14.
or 14 for
For the
baseline?
trust.
And then-
Yes.
And then we pay a little more because we had some high usage.
That and then, and correct me if I'm wrong, Becky, but from what I understand too, is that if we had more people involved with the plan, it actually does us better. It's like the more, right? Isn't that kind of like what, yeah. If you have-
Because we have so few people that use it, we end up paying as though we're not collectively bargaining as much as if we had a larger pool, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, maybe this is a silly question, but is there any way that we can do some kind of cabal with other towns in the area to form a larger bargaining unit to be able to have
Like a different, I know what you're saying.
a larger bargaining block, get a bit more favorable rates, maybe even something that we could work with the FERCog on, because that's sort of what they do is try to find ways to put all the towns' bargaining power together to get better rates on things.
Yeah.
Because I understand what you're saying, we have so few people on the plan, it hurts us in that respect, but yeah, we're one town, but we're also part of Massachusetts. You know, we're part of a much larger system of towns. It should seem like
They would be able to.
there's something to go there.
Yeah.
Um,
I have not looked into that. I don't know if like, you're almost talking like regionalizing,
Yeah.
sort of with other towns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if the FERCog were to negotiate a better rate for 7 towns rather than
Yeah.
each town trying to negotiate individual rates. I mean, that's the whole idea behind health insurance in the first place is the larger pool you have. That's why Medicare gets better rates than private insurance does, is because they have a larger pool, they have more bargaining power, they have, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if our current insurance company does that or not. I'm not sure. I don't know if Becky, if you
Well,
can answer that.
I think the problem is, with your concept here, is we're on Maya. Amherst is on Maya, but almost everybody else around us is in part of the Hampshire County Trust. And historically, Amherst claim history has not been good, similar to ours, so they might not be the best partner at this point. But the way Maya works is we are part of the bigger pool. They have, I think they have over 288 towns are members in the state. There's a large number of membership for Maya. But then they take each town as a sub-pool. So that helps bring down our costs, being part of that. And then when the 14% is the average cost of all
Okay,
the
so
towns.
if the town doesn't have a lot of claims, ends up coming in at 12 and we come in at 18 or something like that. Okay, that
Right.
makes sense.
So that's the concern, but the claims did drop dramatically in the last 2 to 3 years. We had very high rate of claims about 3 years ago, and they've been dropping. So there's hope that we'll come in a bit lower, not, 17 or 18, but if the claims are high again this year, it's possible.
Okay.
And that's why Heather moved ahead with the 18% figure. Just
No,
so
I'd rather be
we're clear.
conservative on that
Yes,
and
yeah.
end up coming in under than going to the
But
reserve fund.
We'll be happy, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a question on there too.
I spoke with Wendy Terrell, who is our representative to Maya at the conference, and we plan to meet in in the second week in February to review if any plan changes that could, she's given us, at the last meeting that we met with her, she gave us a list of plan changes that potentially will bring down different percentage points on the total cost. So we'll review that again and then meet with her and present. I'll get your input before we meet with her when we look at the potential changes that could bring the cost down about 5 percentage points or 6 percentage points.
Okay.
But it might, the balancing act would be meeting and communicating with the membership to be sure these changes that we're proposing are supported by the membership, because
Which is always a concern and has historically been something that they like their insurance, they don't want it to change most of the time, so that is a thing. Okay.
so that'll take some work.
How many employees do we have in town that get insurance?
68.
At the bottom.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's
Also
including-
retirees.
Yes,
Just-
thank you.
And do we pay we pay a different rate for retirees? 50, 55,
Okay.
and 65 for employees.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, Joe.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got a couple. So we actually raised our amount that Sunderland's put into healthcare with the last year. Was there any change in the number of employees who decided to take insurance because of our increased input into that?
There wasn't a lot.
Wasn't a lot, so that's good to know. Second, you're both right. Like we talked about this last year. We talked about trying to merge with another town or towns and try to get a bigger pool of people. But one is we have different health care programs, which you just mentioned, and two, it's hard because if you go into it with another couple towns and their claims are higher, you could lose out on that. Right now, the fact that our claims are lower makes us more attractive to merge with someone else. But if our claims are down, and Becky, you're going to work with them to try to reduce it by 5%, which should probably stay the course right now, I would say.
Okay.
Just like to understand better, and I know this gets into details that can't be really shared, but if our claims are dropping, then back-to-back years of almost 20% increases, like usually get that one shock and then it should taper down. It seems kind of surprising we'd be getting hit again if our claims are dropping.
And I would feel that way more if the baseline was 8% and we were talking about 16 or 18%. But if baseline is 14 and we're looking at being a little bit above that, that says to me that the whole system is taking a huge hit.
14 is an enormous number, like my experience
Yeah.
in health insurance in public and private sectors, that's.
But the 14s, what I'm saying, the 14s is completely independent of our claims
I
and whatnot,
understand
you know?
that.
Yeah.
I'd like to understand that number.
Well, I would also then as well. Yeah.
If you're free to attend the meeting, potentially when we meet with Wendy, she could explain some of these issues to you.
Okay.
So I'll let you know.
All right. Anything else, Joe, or I think he muted himself again. I think he's good. All right.
All good. All good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Any other questions from anyone on the phone or anyone else on the finance committee? Anyone from Crystal, Dan, anything on the health insurance lines?
Oh, we'll wait till- see what you find out.
All
Now, do
right.
we still meet that criteria for affordable health insurance, the lowest plan?
Yeah.
We do?
We should be. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Having that third plan, I think it's keeping us at bay.
okay.
So we're under the radar, so we're good.
Also, on that note, some of the people driving that lowest thing are getting a raise this year. The IAs. That's their contract's up for negotiation, so that's the bottom line is actually going to change in that direction also. So it's going to make it more. We should be fine. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Sorry, could you explain that more to me?
So
They're
okay,
getting a
so
they're getting a
there's
pay increase,
yeah.
Okay.
so
the-
therefore, that affordable, being X percentage of their wage,
It should be a lower.
Right, if they get a pay
Okay.
increase.
If the least paid person in Sunderland goes up, it makes the whole calculation change, is what we're saying. So if we have, if that, I'm making up numbers, but that person made 10,000 and all of a sudden made 12,000, that means that that percentage makes the whole plan more affordable for everybody else.
Get it, thank you.
So, yeah.
But the employee contribution is also going up 14 to 18%.
Right.
Yes, it's everybody's contribution, so, and which is why it's worth having the conversation with the membership, because they may also agree that, yeah, it's not the same on either side, and pulling back a little bit on some of the things that are offered might be something that both sides want to do. All right. All
If you
right,
guys have any other questions, feel free to call me in the office. I don't mind.
Great.
Questions, if you guys go home and think about something and go, wait a minute. Whatever you guys want to do.
all right.
And then, so you want, now that we've finished the page that we had, now we have all the pages, do you want, any highlights you want to talk about on the main?
Becky, can I have a copy?
Oh, sure.
You snag mine, did you? Thank you.
You had started off with postage and we.
Yeah, the postage went up, like everything.
Yep.
Like everything. I started talking about the software. I actually just got an email before I got up here on the new software that I will share with everybody at some point. But yeah, I mean, the current software I have right now is gonna be absolutely, come June. So I kinda gotta do something, we gotta do something to get something in there so my tax budget can keep going.
Yep.
So how much of that 12,000 request is kind of an upfront setup? And what is the run rate going to look like?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure yet, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Now, do you have to keep the old software for a time period in order to?
Well, they're gonna merge and give us, not give us, but bring everything over for us, and then June 30th, from my understanding, it's gone.
So you'll have backward compatibility with the data with the new software?
Yes, they'll download, yep.
And that's the one you want, or you're still kind of exploring different options?
I think we're pretty much gonna be going with this.
All set on that one.
Yeah, Becky's pushing for that too, so, yeah, I mean, I currently use part of it right now, so I'm a little familiar with it, but now it's gonna be like the tax collecting side, so it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I've got a lot of resources out there that I can chit chat with, so, and they're supposed to be excellent too, for any type of, resource I need, any questions I have, so.
I think it's gonna be about $8,600 for the capital, for the accountant side, and a little bit less on the collector's side as a capital expense going into it. So the big change will be a much lower amount of fees. So it might end up being a better situation when you're done.
And again, we don't have a lot of choice because the other software is end of life, and you gotta pick a new one, so might as well
Yeah.
jump in. All right.
Too bad, but. You guys have any other questions?
Just a quick postage question, I know it's going up,
Sure.
the budget's going up by 30%.
Yeah,
Is that how much postage went up year-over-year for towns?
it did go up, was it 69 now, but I know it's gonna be increased again in 26, FY 26.
Okay.
I don't believe we've used all of that, to be honest with you, so that figure might be a tad bit high, but,
So this isn't forecasting additional mailings, this is just purely what we think the increase of the cost per mailing is. You're
Yeah.
right.
Heather,
hmm?
I'm sorry, could that be a bit high?
That's what I'm saying, we didn't use all of it, and I don't think we're gonna use all of it. It's not election year, so we don't have to have that. So, yeah, I think I usually have a little bit left over in that account, so that might be a tad bit high.
So yeah, if the two of you, or if some combination of the two of you, can take a look at the historical usage on that, and maybe tweak that down to 11 or something like that.
Sure.
So, as far as postage goes, and I 100% agree people should be mailed things if that's what they want. But is there some opportunity to cut down on postage and have people able to see the mailings online?
Not to my knowledge yet. I mean, you can pay your bill online.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I wonder if my suspicion is probably a state law that requires that we send X, Y, and Z documents, and that the reason that there's no functionality for that is because we can't.
Right, no, I
mean, and
didn't
it's
know
wrong,
if there
but I'd be very
was,
surprised.
because again, I don't know every mailing that goes out, so I didn't know if some of these mailings could be, an online.
Email. I do try to email as many as I can. If people call and say, hey, can I get a copy of my bill? Well, what's your email? And I'll
Right.
scan it in and send it to them. So I have been saving there.
Yeah.
But like Nathaniel said, that, yeah, you have to, by law, I have to get a bill to every single person.
Yeah,
There probably is a small subset that we could play with a little bit, but the vast majority of this is going to be state mandated, unfortunately.
And I do take advantage of it, like I said, anytime I can scan it or somebody comes in, I say, come in. I'll be, hand it to you.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, yeah, fine, come in, so I do it that way.
Okay.
But, yeah, I try, postage is,
right, and that's, I just wasn't sure if there was, some smaller percentage of all the mailings that
yep.
don't fall under the requirement for them to be.
Yeah, yeah. You figure I'd send out, what, 8 sets of bills every year between excise and personal property and all that and sewer. It all goes out.
Yeah.
Is there any ability to combine?
I do when I can, like with the water bill and real estate. I stuff those envelopes as full as I can before they track me down and tell me I owe more. I just do as much as I can in one envelope.
Any other questions? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the other thing is too, that, the excise commitments come out different times of the year, so that I can't do much about, but
Yeah.
It's a small line, but office supplies is about a decent percent. Is that like one new thing you need, or just?
it's just like envelopes, paper, just other supplies, binders. The binders I have to use are, like to see those come down a little bit, but I'm starting to reuse the binders so that it's not quite as expensive.
I'd be more concerned if it was a larger line item in general. It's a fairly sizable increase, but the actual dollar amount is not huge.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing I was gonna, the Harper's payroll, it's 96%. Was it billed quarterly or monthly or?
Every other week.
But it's 96% expended, so we're gonna go over on that one?
I can take a look at it. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
all right.
Yeah, I have to take a look at that to see where we are actually.
Okay.
Well, she raised it.
No, I see that, but
Yeah.
for 96% now,
There's a lot of time to.
Oh, now,
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
okay.
Some of these formulas might be a little, it might need a little work, just to give you a heads up.
Oh, I trust very little when it comes to Excel, because it's so easy to make those formulas get kind of funky.
Yep.
I mostly trust the hard-coded ones that you put in yourself.
Yeah. Those I like, but easy to make mistakes on that too. But.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Anything from Finance Committee? Anything from anybody online?
And then we have another page on,
Nope.
All right, wonderful, Joe.
on the
Debt.
debt stuff, right?
Yep.
Is, here we go.
This one, I'll treasure you.
I have none right now.
Did you?
Well, that's lovely.
Did you?
We got one more payment and that's it.
Is that on the fire truck?
Yep.
That is beautiful.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. Now, we do have some capital expenses that we have amortized over a couple of years, but those aren't loans like this, those are capital payments, okay.
Yep.
The fire truck was expensive enough that we took an actual loan against it.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep.
So that's great that this is the last year on the fire truck loan, that's gonna be a nice thing to have fall off.
Yep, definitely.
I love seeing a very boring loan sheet, so thank you. All right. Anything, anyone on any of the boards on the loans that don't exist? All right, and then we just seem like we have a bunch of account lines, unemployment, Medicare, tax title, that kind of stuff. Anything that jumps out at any of these? Looks like most of these have a 0% change down the line.
I'm on the tax title page. Expended $24,330 so far, $25,800 in budgets, remaining $9,000 or something that happens periodically that drives.
We do a study every other year.
So there'll be
And
a
it's
study
3,000, we're up for, another study,
in the end of 25 or in 26?
26.
Is that, we do a study for tax title or OPEB?
Oh, I'm sorry, what were you looking at?
You're
Tax title.
looking at tax title. I think you meant OPEB.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking
That's
at
okay.
that.
Yep.
Tax title, yes. Unfortunately, I'm having to look at properties and have to go forth with the process of tax title. So, there's a little money in there. And I've
Is it,
requested-
you're requesting 9,000 a year and we're spending under 1,000.
A little high, yeah.
And, so I was just wondering if we need to keep the request at 9,000?
If you guys are comfortable moving it, that's okay. It's been that way for all the years, so I just kind of tried to stay with status quo. I didn't want to play with it too much. If for some reason I all of a sudden do in fact put all these people in the tax title,
You won't
Yeah,
have
do-
enough.
Yeah, before we go tweaking it a bunch, I'd want to see what not just what the last couple of years are, but what like a 10-year period looks like.
yeah.
Because that kind of a thing, you could have a bunch of years with nothing and then 1 year with 15,000.
Right.
And I'd want to, this is one of those situations where, because it can spike so much, I'd rather leave the more money there and have it go to free cash next year than come in at 2,000 and have you go way over.
That's kind of what I was feeling. And
That being said, if we don't have anything in the last 10 years that's over 4,000 or something like that, I would be comfortable bringing that number from 9 down to 6 or
Sure.
something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely take a look at that.
Great, if you don't mind, thank you.
Yeah, no, I can do that.
All right, and then you were talking about OPEB already, and that's the 3,000 on the next page, and that's you're saying every other year is about 6, so you're putting
Yep,
three-way, okay,
yep.
okay. And then under the salaries, you are showing no change there. I'm assuming that's gonna be, dependent on personnel committee, whatnot?
I
Okay.
mean, I am all for if you guys want to give me a little more on that line, that's fine. Isn't everybody, right?
You know, I've never had someone say they had a problem with that. It's weird.
Yeah, I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
No one ever complains?
No, I mean, I haven't asked for anything.
Okay.
What is that second one? Is that
Oh, I'm
treasure
sorry.
collector sec 1 for 1,000?
That's because I'm certified. I'm a certified tax collector now, so that's the little benefit. Thank you guys very much for giving.
Well, thank you for being a certified tax collector. We appreciate it.
I'm currently trying to get my treasurers. But I know I don't get paid for that extra too. I just only get one. So that's good.
Huh, that is true. That's not fair. It's a lot of work. It'll be great to have you certified as
Yeah.
a treasurer. That's
Yep.
great.
Just gonna work on that. Take the exam.
It looks like the county retirement assessment went up
Yes, it
by
did.
about 40-ish thousand, is that right? Okay,
That is true.
but that's not surprising particularly,
Right.
okay.
That's right.
Do you know how we're tracking this year? I think we're missing a column here, but it indicates FY '25 is over 100% spent, but I'm not sure where that's pulling because there isn't an FY '25 budget on here.
And that line was supposed to be just to show what part, like 50, if we were third through the year, 50% through the year, so,
Oh, so it's extrapolated out based on where we are currently?
yeah.
That makes more sense, okay.
Yeah, that was the way we first set up, Margaret and I set up the sheets.
Okay. That makes more sense then. Okay, so that means that we're gonna be a little bit above on that, but the one that was 91% earlier means that we're gonna hopefully come in a little shy of that. Okay, that makes sense. Beautiful.
You made it.
Yes, just gotta finish with Deerfield.
All right, I think that's all the questions I have. Anything else from the finance committee? Crystal, Dan, anything?
I'm good.
Nope, all good. All
Wonderful.
good.
Well, thank you, Heather.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
You as well, thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, our next, budget will be the accountant's budget.
So the accountant they have never come to present, is my understanding.
Yep.
So they sent in the budget, and it's on the sheet with a yellow line through it.
I don't have a sheet with it.
Definitely no bill on it.
It's very straightforward. They're going off their contract. So the contract from last year was 2024 was $80,000. And then it dropped to $65,000 in 2025. And they are requesting $66,000 for FY '26.
Okay. And the previous year increase was because that was the year they transitioned over and,
Right, they had to do
They had to
all
do
that
all
work
work, yeah, okay.
for getting us caught up and stuff.
so they're going from 65 to 66, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I think the actual contract, they're still leaving a couple $1,000s in there because they've been working with Heather. And so they've kept a little bit of money in to continue, but she's really, the reconciliations were the biggest issue, and she's starting to catch up on that now, so.
Okay.
Hopefully by the end of the year, that's gonna be smoothed out, and we might not be spending much of the additional.
So next year, we could potentially see a
A
decrease in.
slight decrease, like
Okay.
$1,000 or $2. And then they put in just general expenses. Originally, their budget was $25,000 in '24. In '25, it was $10,000 for expenses, and they're keeping it at $10,000
Okay.
for expenses this year.
And was that related to the software changeover for that same time period, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Because there was a year we had to pay for 2 softwares because we're still using the old one. Okay.
yes.
That makes sense. All right, so 10,000 on that line, 66 on the other. Okay.
And then we'll have the capital piece with Vadar, be about under $10,000, I think.
Okay.
But we still need to get a full estimate for it.
Okay. So that we'll have that sometime in the near future then?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Question. So on the contract side, when is the next renewal for that contract? Are we like locked in for some period of time, or every year it's a new contract?
I think it's an annual contract at this point.
All right.
Do you recall?
That was my understanding, but I'm not 100% on
I
that.
believe it's annual at this
Okay.
point.
And then on the Vadar system, did that come from them? Like when we brought them in, is that the system that they either wanted or needed or recommended us going to? Or was it? Or
It
those
is.
two? Okay.
It is.
And so then when we go into Vadar for the other component, Heather, are there any savings on this? I know the setup is the setup on the service fees if we're going to be using 2 modules from Vadar instead of 1.
Yes, there are. I went through we had moved to Vadar and Shutesbury 4 years ago, I think. And when the different components, they bundled and kept the pricing down for both components. Because first we did the treasurer, and then we did the accountant and collector separately. So when we did, they keep pricing in mind, and they do a good job of giving you credits. And the thing with the point software that we've been using, you saw the $10,000 annual service fee, the fees, and they went up 7% a year, I believe, was point. You won't see that with Vadar. You won't see those large increases every year either.
When all that comes together, I'd love to just see kind of a summary of like, here's the CapEx for the new stuff, here's before and after fees, just to kind of, when it's all together, it'd be great just to see how that.
And I can block
For both
out
sides.
the estimates we have now
Sure.
to start with, and then we'll get more firm pricing. The pricing for the collector side hasn't happened yet,
Mhm.
but they're working on it.
Okay, great. Any other questions about the accountant? All right. I believe that was our last budget request.
And I have to apologize, I believe you're here to present your budget?
Yes.
Because she could not make the appointment, the next appointment she's scheduled for in 2 weeks. So we're
Great.
making an adjustment in
Not a problem.
addition.
So what budget are we hearing now?
The South
South County Senior Center. Okay.
I have some supplemental documents to hand out if that's okay.
That's great,
Do
and
we have any?
I'll go
Hello,
print
Angela.
out those. I had them, they're in the pack, I mean,
In the
they're
SharePoint?
in the
Thanks,
SharePoint.
yep.
The original, and I can go get the others.
Sorry, Joe, I don't have one to send via email.
This is great, okay.
Give me just 1 second.
She's going to grab copies too, I think.
What was that?
Becky went down, I think, to get some copies for the original stuff.
Did you know about the change to this? Did you know South County was going to do
No, we did not.
it? So I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
She, Becky needs to.
Yeah, I'll talk to Becky about that.
appropriate to ask while Becky's not here, or should I?
I think we need to wait for Becky
Yes,
to get
yeah,
back,
hopefully she'll be
because I
back.
have questions too.
Trying to be efficient.
Oh, I know.
I'm trying to take the opportunity to look over the budget numbers.
So is this your third tonight or second?
Third.
Third.
You want to just tell us what everybody else asked, and we can just.
I don't know if my budget passed under your approval at this point. Does it mean we have a 2, a 1, and a 1?
I think you need majority, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's a majority.
I don't think it is. It's not, so.
I think abstentions go with the majority, so it should be.
Do they? Because, yeah, it's
Like,
not a
they have
no.
negative, so if you
Yeah.
had. So it should.
That's a
count.
good question. I'm not sure.
Just sharing.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I'm curious now, so.
Well, Joyce is in the waiting room.
Oh,
She's
And then
been
we have to
attending
wait.
all my meetings tonight. It's been great.
it's good.
Yeah, Dan, do you mind just clicking to let her in?
What do we, up here?
Click under there, admit.
Yeah. I just don't want her to think that we're ignoring her. All right.
But his room is nice and toasty.
Yeah, it's warm.
Right now it is. Pick a time of year. Sometimes it's too cold, sometimes it's too warm.
I get up 5 minutes a day
Yeah.
of light.
Pretty cold in July in here.
It can get kind of cold.
Well, no, that all depends too. Sometimes the air conditioning works
We've had
great,
some hot meetings in here.
and then other times it's like I'm
We've had some hot
melting.
meetings in here, for sure.
I have to say though, it's a lot better since they put the mini split in.
Yeah.
Much.
Okay.
You still have your sunglasses on. It was sunny before.
So long.
It's not getting dark at 4 o'clock anymore.
It's
Oh,
good.
I know.
It's good.
It was so depressing.
That's what gets me through winter.
You know.
Excuse me, are we doing any votes tonight?
The Joe?
Joe,
Yeah, it's Joe. Yeah, do we have any votes tonight?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either, right?
Yeah. I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, 'cause I might have to bow out in the next few minutes. I got 5 or 10 more minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
I'll keep you posted, just so I don't want to miss anything if we need a quorum. I think you have it anyways. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Joe.
should, do you want me to go down and check?
Hmm?
Do you want me to go down and check on
Yeah, if you don't mind, seeing if there's any help.
it? Seems like it's been a while.
I appreciate that, thanks. Did everyone feel the earthquake we had earlier today?
I actually did. I was on the chair in the office, and
Mhm.
I felt the other one we had a few months ago. I was like on the wheel, on the, the chair, and I'm like, everything started shaking. I'm like, I didn't know if it was just somebody driving by the building, but then I got that pop-up about it.
Yeah. One of the trash delivery companies comes through our neighborhood every Monday. So I just assumed that's what it was, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's no truck in our, in our cul-de-sac. What's going on? Beautiful. Thank you, Becky.
Sorry, folks, I had to check out for kid duty here. All right, good night, everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Good night,
Good
Joe.
night.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
All right.
And I apologize, there was this top sheet I couldn't make any bigger.
Oh, yeah, that one doesn't blow up, but they're just voting on this one, that that's a supplemental fund, so that's not a problem.
Oh,
Good to know.
I've got it on here,
okay, okay.
and I can
Ready?
Yep.
Do I need to leave? Okay.
Oh, we're good.
So hi, my name is Jennifer Rummeler. You'll see it as Jennifer Ferrara moving forward, but my name is changing. So I'm the director of the South County Senior Center. I don't think I've met you two before, but this is my third meeting tonight. My apologies. So there are a couple increases on our annual operations budget that went up. Deerfield voted to increase through the personnel board the COLA by 3%, and then our step increase of 2.5%, so an increase of 5.5% for the year. So we adjusted our numbers. We're also increasing because if you look at one of the sheets I presented you with, it looks like this. For the past few years, we've received grant funding totaling up to over $573,000 since I've been in this position. Next Friday will be my third year, and we've been able to increase our outreach, or our during this time, our outreach coordinator's position to 35 hours, and in July, it was not voted in our annual budget, but we increased our program coordinator's position because we received additional funding through the hybrid programming grant, where we were able to go in front of the Board of Oversight approved it, and then we went in front of the Deerfield Finance and Select Boards to increase our program coordinator's position from 15 hours to 35 hours. The previous person in that position was never able to go over 15 hours. And in doing so, we're able to provide additional services that we weren't able to before. As you can see in the memo that I provided to everyone tonight, we had 143 new members join the senior center last year.
Can you explain to us what constitutes a new member? Do they have to sign a membership card, show up X number of times?
Yep.
Just-
So a member is someone who fills out a membership form. They are entered into our database. They usually attend at least a minimum of once a year to be considered an active member, but they usually attend more than that. I had this question presented to me at Deerfield. I'm happy to provide a breakdown with the number of people who attend a certain amount of times a week. I don't have that data with me. I didn't bring my laptop, my apologies. But members are someone who attend at least once a year. A lot of folks come to our annual picnic for their big event, but some people come once a month for our food pantry or our brown bag program that we offer. So it depends on what they're interested in that we offer at the center. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does involve a membership card though, so that
Yes,
if
they
we
get a
wanted
card.
to
So
see
we
who actually,
attends, yes.
okay.
So one of that we do to track that data is annually we pay for a program called My Senior Center. You'll see it on the program here or on the budget. We pay $1,300 a year for that software. We are able to enter everyone into a database. We track their attendance. We have their emergency contact information, so if anything happens while they're at the center, we can track if they have a medical issue where we need to notify EMS if they come. So we're able to track all of our events that we have at the center. We track how many people attend on an average day. Right now, we're average per day is about 62 people attending regularly. Most of those are on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because we do have our enhanced fitness class, which is a very popular class. We also offer additional movement classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, or excuse me, Mondays and Thursdays, in addition to just the enhanced fitness class. We get about 25 to 30 individuals for that every day that we offer. Sometimes it's 17, to 25. It depends on if there's an illness, people on vacation, other various factors. So we are actually going through our My Senior Center to determine if we're taking out anyone, because if we haven't seen them in a period of time, we're trying to give them at least, if they haven't been there the last 2 years. We also maintain that database regularly. Unfortunately, dealing with an older population, sometimes folks do pass away. So we go through and make sure to archive those individuals as well. Last year, we had 110 individual seniors receive 777 services through our outreach coordinator and through myself if our outreach coordinator was unavailable. The time frame I'm referencing is the calendar year 24. A lot of different services are fiscal year, but I'm just using the calendar year because that's how I've just done my reports in the past to all of you. We also provide a monthly pop-up for our food truck. We've been addressing food insecurity. We've provided on average, right now we're down to about 45 families, plus our outreach coordinator makes deliveries on a monthly basis to those folks who are homebound and isolated and can't come to pick those up as well. So we're down a little bit because we're currently utilizing the First Congregational Church of Sunderland, and their parking is a little less than the previous location. But we are still getting quite a few people and focusing on those who are in the most need. During our holiday season, we have really benefited those in the community who enjoy a congregate meal. Since we've been out of the Holy Family Parish Church, we've had large meals at the Polish Club in South Deerfield at no cost to us, utilizing their facility. And for our Friendsgiving, we had 101 individuals. We did a holiday meal delivery. This is our 3rd year doing this. We were able to deliver more than 105 meals to older adults and 5 meals to our emergency services within the community as well. We partnered with the Sunderland's Men's Club and other people in the community, including members of the First Congregational Church of Sunderland. And a lot of volunteers from the community came to support. We've increased our van service. We have had 430 rides to around 37 members regularly getting a ride. We've prioritized transportation to our programs first, medical appointments second, and shopping and other locations third. So we try to make sure that everybody gets adequate service. For those who are unaware, our capital committee voted to approve our matching funds for our van that we're getting before the end of this fiscal year, and that will increase our transportation capacity. The new vehicle will give us 14 passengers with 2 wheelchair accessible seat spaces versus the vehicle we currently have now, which is 7, and we only have 1 wheelchair accessible space. So we'll be able to provide additional support for that. We are looking to, on the budget that I presented, we are looking to maintain our program coordinator's position at 35 hours a week. This includes the increase to fringe benefits. In the past, my position as well as the other positions had only been part-time. I believe my position went up to full-time when I came on board for fiscal '23. So that's why there's a jump there, and then it paid the previous director's benefits. And I am also going to be taking insurance this year, so that is why this increased compared to the past few years where Deerfield only put a placeholder with the approximate amount for the insurance. Since we're a special revenue fund, you'll notice on the grant form that I presented to you and on the memo, we had some carry forward funds. It's basically like your free cash, but it's just staying where we are, and we're appropriating it to be utilized to offset salary and other programs that we may not otherwise have been able to offer in the past. Our current capacity and our current space, we're able to provide services for about 30 people comfortably at the location on 22 Amherst Road here in Sunderland. We've noticed an increase in participation from Sunderland residents while we've been at that location. We get a lot of foot traffic as well. We've been partnering with the local RTAs to increase transportation options to our community members. We partner with Valley Neighbors, but unfortunately sometimes they're limited with different mobility issues if a senior has. They're unable to get in and out of a regular passenger style vehicle. So, we're increasing transportation options, as I shared a few minutes ago. To pay for special events and other things that our operations budget and other grants do not cover, we currently have a grant fund that's been ongoing since before I came on board. Right now our balance is around just under $5,000. That's basically donations from people in the community, and it's specifically for like food and snacks for large events. Like we're having a Super Bowl party coming up where we're not charging anybody to attend, so we pay for those things out of those funds instead of the operations budget. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. You'll notice there was a change since we're no longer at the Holy Family Parish. We did not renew the lease. The booth did not renew the lease in June of last year. So we took those funds that were line item for program space that was originally $14,400, utilized most of that to go towards the program coordinator's position salary, half their salary, because the other half is paid through the formula fund grant, which is provided by the state. We receive $15 for older adult, and that's an ongoing grant that's at least for another 10 years that the state provides. It's similar to like when the schools receive a certain dollar amount per student, we receive $15 for older adult, to help out. That bumped up a few years, so we're now getting, because they're now using 2020 census data versus 2010 census data, so there are 3,027 older adults within the 3 towns that they base that money on. So we're getting a little over $45,000 annually for that. $45,405 annually. And that basically is going towards the other half of the program's coordinator's costs, the outreach coordinator's costs, as well as some office supplies, our Comcast for our internet, for our cell phones. We have cell phones instead of a landline because we're in multiple locations all the time, as well as our Mass Council on Aging dues and our Mass Council on Aging conference and any other professional development for the staff. With the increase of the program coordinators' hours to 35 hours per week, we're able to offer additional programs that we weren't able to offer in the past. If you look on page 3 of the memo I gave to you, we've been able to provide 58 additional events for the year to an increase of 61 people compared to last year. So, we've been able to provide additional services to those who are interested in attending our programs and receive services that we offer. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So 20 hours a week increase.
He works, 20-hour increase for which staff number are we referring to, program coordinator?
Yep,
So, yes, it went from 15 hours a week to 35 in July of 2024.
and that was with
Grant.
the Board of Oversight's approval and the town of Deerfield's approval,
Yes.
but not Whately or Sunderland.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify, we use the administrative funds that were allocated for the church space to pay for that salary for that staff, as well as grant funds from the hybrid programming grant for that. And the towns wanted to, or Deerfield wanted to revisit that in 6 months, which is about this time frame.
So you redirected the funds for going towards the space that you were renting.
Yeah, we took the funds that were for the Holy Family Parish, instead of having that, we reallocated it to the staff.
And so now not having that space, how's that impacting the programming?
It's been hard not to be in one central location, but the team has really made it work. We have consistent staff time there at the Whately Town Hall. We're not paying for that space to utilize because we're part of the Freetown interim agreement. So we use that space for free. The staff opens it up and, is there while the class is going on and cleans up and breaks down the chairs for volunteers at the end. So it's basically taking 2 hours, so 6 hours a week from staff is going over to that space. So it's somewhat confusing sometimes for the seniors because if we have different program events, sometimes we have them at that location because it has a larger capacity. One of the things that we struggle over here on Amherst Road is the lack of parking. So over in Whately, we have some more parking spaces because they have an agreement with the Whately Inn that people can park across the street during the day when the restaurant is closed. So we're able to offer additional parking there. And sometimes it's a challenge when we're down staff due to illness or vacation or something. We would love one central location, but we are making the best of the situation as much as we can.
I'm just a little confused. So you said the formula fund grant, right, assesses, the state gives money to you based on all three, older adults in all 3 towns.
Yes.
And you said there's only 327?
3,027?
Oh, thank you. I was like, that number does not make any sense to me.
Yeah.
That's
There's
what-
there's 1,639 in Deerfield, 844 in Sunderland, and 544 in Whately.
Okay.
And that's based on 2020 census data. Unfortunately, they don't revisit it annually like the town clerks do when they take the town census, but they do it based on the federal census data.
But then, if someone was 59 in 2020, are they now included in the,
No,
so they stay 59 forever?
until
Until
another
they're
10
69.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because,
That's a good deal.
because also people are falling off of those roles in that
I
time that we aren't
understand.
counting for also, so you can't add on one side and not take away from the other side, so
Yeah.
it does make sense.
You know,
So,
I'm just thinking I'm 61 now, but I don't
Yeah.
think I count yet, so I'm like, I'm still 59 according to the town.
There you go.
one of my concerns always with paying for any kind of salary out of any kind of grant funding is that that grant funding is going to end, and then the towns are on the hook for paying for that salary, or telling somebody we have to cut your hours. That's why we hate doing that in the first place. That's something we try to avoid to begin with. So I don't love that we were already doing that, and I don't love being told that we're on the hook for pay for that salary because the grant ended. I also don't love that Deerfield was the only one who was talked about with all this stuff, and this is, to be honest, the first I'm hearing about it, that this even happened. This is a 4-town district, and I'm aware that the personnel falls under Deerfield from a funding and paperwork perspective, but this should have been brought to all 3 towns.
I did bring it to your board of oversight representative, Denver.
Yeah, and
who is
I'll
on our board.
apologize for not
Okay.
bringing that to the board directly.
That's fair. Again, don't love that I'm feeling about this first, but that is water under the bridge. That being said, are you not, how do I put this? is there no option to continue to fund that, part of that from additional grants? Either the one that you funded it from last year or other grant opportunities?
I am looking towards other grant opportunities moving forward, but I don't have all of them, defined. Everything's on a rolling basis. So unfortunately, like the Mass Council on Aging grants that we receive, that could help offset some of the outreach coordinator position and provide $10,000 available to fund, the other salary. That doesn't come up until usually April.
Okay.
So right now, I don't know. But there's also, one of the things, I have over 15 grants right now going on. One of the things that I don't have also is the exact carry forward amount that I will be looking at when I go through and balance all the payroll items. That could further reduce this fiscal year of 25 operations expenses, where it might give me additional funding to pay for some of fiscal 26 that's not reflected in this particular budget, because I don't know what the final number is going to be. I do have it broken down what our projected cost analysis is going to be based on what we have for the grant funding, but I don't have the exact number, so I can't give you the dollar for dollar, penny for penny with that right now.
Okay.
And to be quite honest, it's also due to time constraints.
Yep, no, that makes full sense, okay. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Yep.
Yeah, thank you for all the work on the grants. I know that's a lot of work to figure out where they are and how to apply, so thank you for doing all that. If I'm putting that aside, just looking at the expense side of this, I guess, how do I think about maybe the 7-year average increase in the appropriations is around 20% per year on average
For us,
for each of the 3 towns?
yes. Well, go ahead.
So how do I think about the sustainability of programming, as important as this is, in the context of our budgets, where things, not that this is the biggest line item in our budget, but how do we continue to be able to absorb these larger increases, or is there some trajectory that's going to shift at some point and the increases will be smaller?
That question was presented at Deerfield as well, and it's a really good concern to have. This actually will bring us up to exactly where we need to be with having the 2 team members at 35 hours and myself at 40. We have been able to come up with a way, especially being in multiple locations, we have a really good, team path as to how we're working together on this, so that way we can be in the multiple locations. One of the other pieces is going forward and starting in April, when some of the grant funding ends. One of the things we're doing is also implementing some costs to seniors for some of these programs that have been straightly funded through some of the grant process. That we've been paying for them. So some of that, for our enhanced fitness class, for example, we're building into their cost the dollar amount that it would pay to have our staff there, for the 2 hours out there, the 6 hours a week on average. So that will hopefully offset where we are with our budget for payroll, with that. There are going to be some people who may not be able to afford that, so we're using the average median income to have people come in, like we utilize for our SNAP partnership, to reduce their costs, so they can, meet with our outreach coordinator individually if that's a financial issue. I'm currently in process to apply for multiple grants right now, the Fred Wells Trust from Greenfield Savings Bank, as well as LifePath, for a couple different programs, which part of it in there, could include, a couple hours of salary in there. But my goal is to not increase this dollar amount or this percentage going up. I want to stay level where we are with our staff. We finally have it going well. Looking at the past, like I said, I started in the middle of fiscal 23, or partway through 23. Next week will be 3 years that I've been here. And we had 124 active members, and I can get you the breakdown to show how many people come regularly, et cetera, more specific to individuals. But we're now up to 480, and we have continual engagement. People are now finding out about us after, living in each of the communities for more than a decade. We did a postcard mailing the other year in 2023 where people had no idea that a senior center even existed here. And, with it, that provided support to the 3 communities, and they've lived in, for example, Sunderland. Someone had lived here for 14 years and never heard of a senior center. So we're trying to increase our visibility with providing services. We did a needs assessment, was conducted in fall of 2021 to spring of 22, and we're currently following up with that right now with UMass in their gerontology school. One of the pieces that they did was to show us by sending out surveys to all the older adults within 3 communities, and had over 1,300, I believe 96 people respond. And their biggest concern was services for themselves, because their goal is to stay living in their homes longer. And with what we're able to do, we're getting phone calls from caregivers, from children looking for services for their parents, from spouses caring for people with Alzheimer's, dementia, or other medical issues. We're really increasing referral services out, within to LifePath, our aging service access point, and to other organizations people were unaware of. Last August, we had our 3rd annual informational fair and cruise night at Hurley Heath Park. We are almost max capacity. We had over 200 people attend, and we're potentially looking at Sunderland Elementary School, for a larger venue if we're able in August. So we've really increased visibility. We're really increasing services. We're a resource that people were unaware of in the past, and our goal is to help people stay in their homes longer, because that's their goal. By 2035, 37% of older adults will be over 60 and older within our communities. So the number is only going up, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, but the age process is going up, and people are living longer, and they need more services. And unfortunately, regardless of politics, federal level funding is going down. Medicare costs are no longer capped for prescriptions, and we're getting a lot of people coming in really concerned about how they're going to make ends meet and other pieces to go along with that. And I understand the tax ramifications, but going up, the small percentage is actually showing that you're investing in what long-term goals we have for the older adults in the community.
So, I have a lot of concerns, but one of those is that ideally we'd be able to provide all the services everybody needs. But the reality is that we don't have the money for that, and we have other departments coming in with level funding with no increases in anything, or coming in. Level services, not asking for increase in services. And this, to me, looks like not just level services, but an increase in services. And I include the extra hours for the coordinator as part of that, because that was not budgeted hours, that was grant-driven hours that you're asking to roll into the budget. And so a 17.08% increase is not an insignificant increase given Prop 2.5, capping us at 2.5%. And while I don't disagree at all about the need for services increasing amongst that population, that's the case across the board. That's the case in terms of the library, that's the case in terms of the school, that's the case in terms of really all of our services. There's an increased need in those. The world's hard for everyone, not just seniors. And this feels like going back to 2019, 26,000 this year, 105,000, or I guess that's the Deerfield number. So 52,000 back in 2019 and 211,000. That's a 400% increase in 5 years.
All those positions were part-time. There was
No, and I understand that, but
and at one point, the program coordinator, who's no longer in that position, was the only person running the center.
no, and I don't disagree that the need is there. It's the rate at which the increase has happened, and the sustainability, and going back to the other point made, the sustainability of that increase over time. 2 years ago, it was already too much of an increase too many years in a row. Last year was the same case. This year is the same case. And unless next year you're coming to us with a 3% budget increase, this is going to continue to be a problem long term. And the reality is that regardless of how many seniors we have in these towns, there's a limited pool of money to be able to pay for all of them. So I don't know that I'm comfortable voting on a 35-hour absorbing the entirety of the 35 hours for that position. And I don't know about other
Well,
members of the
you're
board.
not absorbing the entirety, you're absorbing half, plus the fringe benefits.
Well, we're already paying half and we're absorbing the other
What do you
half.
consider fringe benefits?
The retirement, and that's it. That's what the terminology they were using in Deerfield, so my apologies if
That's all right.
it's not the same.
No, I wasn't sure what it,
Yeah, just the retirement benefit. Medicare, we were able to get from most of the grant.
I mean, what's hard, there are a lot of people that need these services. There's also a lot of organizations, nonprofits, and others that help provide these services. You mentioned Food Bank Western Mass, Community Foundation Western Mass, Life Path, Meals on Wheels, Mary Lyon Foundation, like there's a whole bunch of them. And so, the question is, to me, like, how much can we coordinate versus build ourselves? Because building ourselves is more time, more money, more things to get those outcomes. There's other organizations that we can connect people to. Can we get a lot of those same outcomes without having to build our own everything or have our own space and have our own? And that's like, it's not yes or no, right? It's a continuum. And it feels to me when I look at this, like we're sliding up that continuum of, I'm not saying less coordination, but a bigger proportion of programming versus coordination, which necessitates more hours and vehicles and things like that. And I think that's where I'm brand new to this process, but trying to figure out what that long-term trend and trajectory looks like, and making sure that we're making the most use of these partners that we have in our community already. We're set up to do these different things that we're dovetailing on.
I understand your concern with that, and as I shared before, this is not something, I'm not looking to continue to go up. I'm looking at this is where we're going to be, and it would only go up the small amount, whatever the step increase would be annually for salary moving forward. The big reason here is, I'm going to be frank, the 3 towns were underfunding the senior center for decades. They didn't have any money going into any of the renovations of the other space. That's why we ended up having to spend money to move to a location. I'm not blaming any one in particular town, but it's the culmination of decades of no service. You weren't, the center wasn't even open 3 days a week for 12 hours a week to service your seniors. Now we're open 5 days a week offering services. We're offering a space where people are less isolated. And while, those services exist with the other organizations, a lot of people don't know how to access them, and that was part of the problem. None of the towns employ a social worker, to advocate or share that information. Most of the communities have been relying on grants to fund town nurses, who pop in and offer limited resources. They don't have all of the information or the support that we do behind us. We've built our community partnership. We have now had over 20 community partners attend different events, so we're trying to connect people. I'm not looking to come back next year and ask for the same amount of increase. I'm looking for this year to keep us where we are with this 35 hours for this particular program. And I apologize that you weren't included in the discussion. As I shared, all of the Board of Oversight members met, so my assumption was that they were bringing the information to each of their respective towns. We reappropriated the money to a different category, but we didn't go over our budget, and we're actually kind of under our budget, but the special revenue fund is something that we are, so it's like free cash, but we carry forward to the next fiscal year. So if there's any overage money, it would be going towards that. And I've been really tight on keeping our budget in check moving forward. We ended up moving forward over $27,000 last year into this fiscal year instead of the $18,000 I projected. So I'm trying to save the town's money, but I'm also trying to do the best with what I have. And I cannot be everywhere all at once. So I need an adequate staff to support that.
I think fundamentally, there's a disconnect between where you think the perfect senior center level for a town is and where the budget for that is. And one of my concerns is that these towns have a lot more people in them than just seniors, and we don't provide any of these services for people under 60 years old. We don't provide food support for people who are 20 years old and going to UMass and are having trouble, nor do we provide really any of these services. And while I'm not saying that they're not valuable, putting too many eggs in this basket is asking the entire town to pay for a small chunk of the population's needs. And there needs to be a balancing act to that. And again, we're looking at $26,000 or $54,000, depending on which number you're looking at, 5 years ago. And you're saying, well, we're good now. I'm saying I think you were good last year. And I don't think that necessarily we need to be seeing another 17% increase after a 19% increase, after a 16% increase, after a 36% increase. You know, and then going back, we see a 46% increase. I mean, you know, I get that in an ideal world there'd be money to give to you for all the services you want to provide, but that's not this world, and I feel this is too big of an ask.
In 2020, your town in Whately paid $19,208. And Deerfield paid $38,416. You had minimal services offered. And while I hear what you're saying about offering for things to different community members at different ages, if someone came in and wanted to access our food pantry, we don't turn them away. If someone came in looking for SNAP assistance because they couldn't make it to another location, we don't turn them away. We use our funding that's for state specific for 60 and older because that's what they limit us to. If someone comes in who's 55 and younger, who has a disability, or anyone who's wanted a service that doesn't have an age limit attached to it, we refer them where they can find services and supports. We're also seeing an increase in homeless or houseless people, and we're finding them resources within the community. I'm sorry that you feel that this is too big of an ask. I'm still, asking for that amount. And I'm not looking to go up in the future. I've heard it from you, I've heard it from Deerfield, I understand what the constraints are, but each of the town's sections, have had the adequate support for decades. And this senior center has not. And I've gotten an increase of complaints from the seniors, always thinking that they're not acknowledged and that they don't matter. And that's why I'm advocating for this dollar amount.
I think it's great that you're advocating the seniors, like that's why you're here, right?
Yep.
That's great, and we want you to be doing that. For me, it is hard. One thing that we tried to do in the budgets is level services, right? And so obviously this is a place we're looking for expanding services, and other places that we're not. And so that to me, more than like the dollar amount, is the thing that makes it hard. But we're going to think about this. We're going to look at this. We're going to come back to you. I'm not going to ask particular questions about particular lines. You're on top of this information in your programming. So like, it's really more holistically about that, about where this is going. Right? One question I do have now, I'm interested in. I noticed a section in here mentioning a feasibility study around a new senior center.
Yes.
Now that we have all these current and projected additional services. So how do I think about the physical side, the building side of what comes down the pike after all these services through these larger budgets are built out?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase? Maybe it's because I'm tired.
If we now have all these services, do we now need a big new building to put all these services in? Because then that is a huge additional cost. Then this isn't the end. Right?
So the only thing that we've added 58 different events throughout the past 6 months that we've increased the program coordinators' hours. But the one thing that we've enabled is to continue on with our enhanced fitness class, which is a movement class because it's in a different location. This week, for example, our program coordinator has been out ill. It's been a balancing act for myself and the program, or for the outreach coordinator, to make sure that everything's running smoothly between the multiple locations. Say we're down 2 people due to illness or whatnot, we now have to cancel programs, so it's not even keeping it level, it would decrease, because we cannot keep up being in multiple locations without having adequate staffing, and that's why the Board of Oversight voted for that. Getting to your question about going to expanding a building. A building has been asked or requested, I'm not sure, how long you've been aware of this. I'm relatively new to Deerfield. I moved into this area in 2014. The building that the seniors were in before we moved to this space was condemned on the 3rd floor and on the basement level, and they were on the 1st floor of a building that had mold, asbestos, guano, leaking water in the basement all over the place. It was not safe, not healthy. The seniors were still in there up until the pandemic, and then they moved outside to a tent. The seniors had been advocating for 20 years prior to, because I have seniors whose parents were still with us, who are no longer with us, who were advocating for a new center back in the 80s, the 90s, forward. The feasibility study was conducted with a grant that Deerfield got from the Community Development Block Grant, I believe, and that should have been done 2 years ago. But the towns have been well aware of this building. They've been going back and forth on that, of the need for a newer space, whatnot. The Holy Family Parish was a Band-Aid space. Unfortunately, they were not okay with us promoting all of our events that went along with their teachings. So that's why the Board of Oversight voted not to pursue a new lease agreement with them, because we wouldn't be able to advertise certain things while they took place at other location, wouldn't be able to be advertised for. So the town of Whately has been giving us this space to use for free to host different events that we've had. We have taken down our cost with that. Instead of using it for program space, we moved it around to be for programming coordinator. So we could continue to offer the same service over there back and forth, because it took the extra time out of our day, because normally we would all three be in one location, be there to offer the enhanced fitness class, and then whatever came after, like we're currently doing. So now we're just in 3 different locations a lot, multiple, 3 days a week we're in at least 2 locations, if not 3. And that's the issue. That's why I'm advocating for that. But for a new building, I did put it in front of all the capital committees. It's for this fiscal year. I met with Whately's earlier for the first meeting I had at 5, because we don't have specific information right now, because the feasibility study isn't 100% ready to go with all of the numbers and everything, estimates and whatnot. We're doing community forums in February to provide all of that information to the community. So down the line, yes, we would totally be advocating for a new building and keeping it at the same staff level, because we know it's not affordable. We have a ballpark estimate as to what the cost would be per taxpayer based on a cost analysis the Deerfield Finance Chair had created for us for our last Board of Oversight meeting. She had come up with a figure so people could be knowledgeable about how much their taxes may go up if we were to go forward with this. But there's also other grant opportunities, including Community Development Block Grant and some other avenues, that we have been researching for the past couple of years. So in the long run, yes, we would be asking for a new building. Yes, I know it's not something anybody wants to hear. I know that funding is being cut on federal level, state level, and everywhere else. One report I got today was the Department of Mental Health is going to actually be, in the projected governor's budget, they're looking to cut 50% of all case managers for DMH, and for other services there. So we also know that our ASAP, the Aging Services Access Point, like LifePath, they're also seeing budget cuts, and those are going to mean people are looking into their communities for additional support. And I understand everyone's concern. I really, truly do. That's why I looked and found over, found over $500,000 in grant money that was never applied for in the past or utilized. So I'm looking to support what we're doing with outside funding, as well as asking for the town money. I'm not just focused on that, and we're also, there's a nonprofit being put together to hopefully help pay for programming in a new building, but, you know, everything's limited and nothing is guaranteed.
So just want to be clear, we're talking about $7,700 increase for Sunderland for the 17%?
From last year, it was $45,149 to $53,216, yes. That number
Do you-
could potentially be less if we have carry forward money that's,
Okay.
that comes from the grants that, I just can't calculate it because it's based on projections in the grants. It's not based on all of the actual numbers. One of the grants ends at the end of February, one ends at the end of March.
Yep.
And there's a few others that are going forward as well.
I just, as the member of the Board of Oversight, I'm new to the position, but I've been to a bunch of meetings, I've been to the center. At least from what I'm seeing, they're doing great things. I'm hearing a lot of good things. And I know they're struggling to find a place to live and be, and I'm supportive of increasing, helping to support the effort, but I also understand that it's a financial obligation, and we have limited budgets, and I'm hoping that we can find a way to make it work, that's all.
Thank you, Dan, that's helpful. All right, any other questions from Dan, Crystal? Finance Committee?
I have a question, yes. I know a lot of the seniors are hoping to have deals, hot deals. Is that going to be a possibility at any point?
Unfortunately, in the space that we are in, we do not have a kitchen area. We have a refrigerator, we have a freezer, but we don't have an oven. And I don't foresee that anytime soon. We do offer about, a couple times every other month or so, we have a congregate meal at least once a month, or a party, whether it's at the Sunderland, the First Congregational Church of Sunderland. We make finger sandwiches, things like that. We also have different events at the Polish Club that we're offering. And we also offer on a daily basis through our partnership with LifePath, the grab-and-go meals. While people have to take those home to heat up, since the pandemic, those have been, consistently popular because people can go home, they don't, come in for congregate meals. But yes, when we've had our congregate meals around the holiday season, we were seeing around 100, 105 people. But unfortunately, we don't have the space or the capacity to offer that daily at this time.
Yeah, well, that's been greatly missed.
Yeah, I've heard that many times myself.
All right, any more questions or anything else from our folks on the phone?
May I?
Yep, go ahead, Joyce.
Hi, you may know me, I'm current chair of the Board of Oversight. I've been on the Board of Oversight for a couple of years now. And I just want to, I wanted to respond to what you said about level services. And I get that as an ideal. I would just reinforce a little bit of what Jen said about the services have not been at all adequate in the past. And percentage increases that are large are one thing, but this is not a percentage increase of your school budget, which really is about 2/3 of your town budget. This is a large percentage increase on a relatively small budget. And for the bang for the buck, there is nothing really better for your community than the kinds of things that Jen is doing, with the oversight of board members from each of the towns. So I would encourage you to look at both kind of the absolute dollar amount and what you're getting for that dollar amount. And I know it looks like large percentage increases, but it's because the services that have been so much needed are now being provided, and being provided with with not as much money from our towns as we otherwise would have to pay if Jen wasn't out there getting hundreds and thousands of dollars of grants to help our seniors. I would just want to put that out there. I know you have the things you have to deal with your whole town budget, but I would just urge you to look at the absolute dollar amount and what you're getting for it as a part of your consideration.
Thank you, Joyce, I appreciate that. All right, any other questions from anybody? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, that is our last new business today. We've got some old business. First up, select board updates. Dan, do you have anything you wanted to go over?
Just went to the MMA conference. It was a great event. We got to see all the 351 cities and towns. State were there. It was Becky attended as well. There were some great sessions, and it was good to hear what other cities and towns are doing, and how they're dealing with all the things that we deal with on a
Great.
daily basis. But yeah.
Wonderful. And-
Excuse me?
Yeah, sorry.
Can
Can
we,
I just interrupt?
yeah, can
Yep.
we get rid of us before you all continue?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
As soon as you said something, I was like, I should let them
Can I
make.
get a motion
Adjourn.
to adjourn the finance committee?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Good call. Have a great day. We'll see you in 2 weeks. All right.
All right, good night.
Good night. Thank you very
Good night.
much for joining us. All right. Sorry, Dan. Was that you done, Dan?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
And we appreciate you and Becky representing us at that one. I look forward to finding time to make one in the future. All right. Crystal, anything from you?
Nope, hopefully South County EMS next Thursday, if all goes well.
Great.
No postponements or cancellations.
Wonderful.
I still haven't heard from them about the budget.
All right, so I think you need to follow up and give them a reminder of what the due date of the budget was.
The-
I would forward the original email with the original ask for the due date on the budget and, you know, inquire when you'll be receiving it because, like I said, we're not meeting until the 6th and I do not know, you know, where that budget stands until we see
Take off
that.
every day that they're late, we could.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion is to reach out to him.
I will.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Good night.
Yeah, 'cause I'd like to be able to start seeing those budget numbers like 2 weeks ago.
Like in December when they were due?
Like that, exactly. All right. Anything else, Crystal?
No.
All right. I did have our first meeting of the capital planning subcommittee this past week. We went over the requests from town and some preliminary discussion about that. Nothing really jumped out as being, you know, a huge item. Very reasonable requests from our town departments this year, so, you know, nothing really to report on that end. We did also have a little bit more discussion about the issue that Becky brought up last week when we met regarding the capital override from the 2024 year. And we are, at this point, looking into a number of options, including the general stabilization fund, of which we have about $600,000 as being a possible source of being able to transfer into the capitalization fund to recover it. Which, of course, isn't ideal from a town preparedness standpoint, but at the same time, that's why that money is there. So when something unexpected happens in town that we can't otherwise absorb, we have stabilization money to do that with it. And luckily, 3 years ago, we had a nice surplus in our budget, in our free cash, and we were able to make a transfer into that fund of about $200,000. I think it was 2022 or something like that. So we're in pretty good shape in that respect, and that's kind of, at this point, Becky and I and other people are talking about different options. You know, the Department of Revenue, the DOR, as well as our accountants and whatnot. So we should hopefully have a plan around that in the fairly near future, and it should hopefully not involve having to make any kind of big asks of the town other than asking them to transfer some money around from accounts.
Would it require a special town, or would it just be?
It still requires a special town meeting, but we could dovetail it, I was gonna say 9 o'clock ahead of your regular town meeting, but I understand you guys have Friday night town
Yeah.
meetings?
Yes.
So,
Half an hour earlier or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
half hour, 15 minutes earlier. Just start with that and then go into the next one.
And the idea is that rather than going to town and asking them to approve us taxing them more, or you know, a supplementary tax bill, it would be an ask to transfer money from the stabilization fund.
Okay.
And we will, as I said, we will look at options, and it may end up being a partial thing where we put some money from stabilization, we absorb some of it out of the capital stabilization that's left,
Yeah.
and X, Y, and Z, who knows?
It's
But
meeting the intent in any case.
yeah. So anyways, we just wanted to sort of update you, the rest of the board and whoever's listening to this, that we are working on that problem and have some
Great.
good movement on that. So that's it for me. Town minister updates. Becky, you have anything for us?
I have one question remaining from the prior meeting, whether anybody wanted to participate in the short-term aging in South County Regional Needs Assessment that had come up at the very end. There's no pressure for you to do it. I was just inquiring because it had been put out as a
Yeah.
question mark.
What were the times of those, or the dates?
There was 5 of them, and it was like 2 were in person, the bookending ones, and then the middle ones were all via Zoom or something
All
like that.
daytime,
What
daytime,
about
Were
nighttime?
they daytime?
I think they were evening?
I think
No,
I
the
want to-
Zoom, I think, could be daytime, which is a
I feel like the
problem.
shit said 6 PM or something like that, but we can double check that. Myself, I am finding myself to be at capacity for this role currently. I'm wearing a lot of hats right now, and that's all I have right now, so I can't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Crystal's thinking about it.
Yeah, let me look at the dates and times again and just verify that they're not daytime hours, because daytime hours just
Right, and I
doesn't work.
I'll do the same too, because I mean, with the BOO, maybe it's a fit for me to, it's not a bad thing for me to do. Is Jennifer, do we know if Jennifer's involved in it at all, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Jennifer's gonna be out for about the next 7 weeks. That's why I had to make the last minute
Oh.
change.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'll reach out to her and I'll take a look too as well. Interested
Yeah,
to see
like I said, if it's,
if I can squeeze it in, maybe, but yeah.
yeah, evening hours will be a little easier, but
Okay.
Okay, I will check in on that. And I just wanted to follow up on the same issue that Nate was, just a couple more details. When I was in Boston, I did have another opportunity to speak with Deb Wagner, who was the director of the Bureau of Accounts. And she had gotten, in conversation with Wendy, our town clerk, Wendy had not been in the week prior when we were going through this, and when we had the conversation with DOR, and as I explained it, Wendy kept asking about whether the specific number on page 4 below where the number should have been was actually the revenue side. So we followed up on that, half crossing our fingers that maybe they missed something, but unfortunately Deb Wagner had gone through ours and she said, "Oh, I see, we're trying to find more money again." And she made it clear, it's the expense side, it wasn't the revenue side, so we still are in a pickle and moving ahead as Nathaniel suggested. Getting input from the financial committees, starting with capital plan since it's their budgets that have been impacted. And the MMA conference, I think was in the new venue, was pretty productive. They had 3 different workshops. I was able to attend one. That'll give us Maya credits. I think there were 3, so if any other selectmen attend, I don't think you got to the Maya ones because I didn't push them because you had high interest in the other ones.
Yeah.
But those credits do turn into money and give us a reduction on our premiums for our insurance
I
policies.
didn't know that, so, okay.
This year, they were kind of sneaky. They used to mark them very clearly, but they didn't mark them on the yellow program this year. So, but anyway, that was helpful. And,
So we've got a lessons learned, a plan in place, whatever it is, so that next tax bill that goes out, this is not gonna be an issue.
this should never be an issue again. I've also connected with Tom Scanlon, the town's auditor for the last 20, 30 years, probably since his dad. So he is helping me sort out the remaining questions on what could have triggered it to happen in the first place. And so we're following up on the potential that it might have been the level of our excess levy capacity. And we're following up on that, just trying to make sure there's no other fallout or negative issues, and that we have a firm revenue starting place this year.
Because, I mean, it's, things happen,
Yeah.
but we've got to make sure we learn from them and.
Yes.
Things happen once.
Yeah, like,
After that,
me on the boo, like, next time it should have tricked me to say something you do about from the grant to the budget.
oh yeah, that's,
I should have jumped on it.
that's a learning thing right there for
And
everyone.
but the other issue coming out of South County is the development of the feasibility study.
Yeah.
And you're I go to those meetings too, so we want to make sure to get
Yep.
the full select board timely
Full
updates.
updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a huge ask.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yes.
bog this particular
To get
presentation
that,
down. But part of the whole package has to be in our heads, not just this ask, but also the ask for the capital project and what that would cost the town
Well,
for.
and then the capital project leads to budget, because bigger building,
More
more
maintenance,
expenses,
more
more.
expenses.
Yep.
And then also, we have this whole big building, why not fill it with more employees and more services and whatnot, so.
But you gotta just think of snow plowing and lawn mowing and
Oh, yeah.
all these little things
We have a
that.
long way to go to get to even, I mean.
Well,
No,
I
I
know, but they're all
No, I
part
agree,
of-
it all adds up, and it's all just, it's gonna keep going up.
Correct.
And again, it's like, I wish we were Boston. I wish we had the kind of budget where we could be, throwing $10 million at building a new whatever in whatever part of the town or city we want. But we are three very reasonably budgeted towns who are so very efficient in our budgeting already.
And limited,
and, limited
by what we can
And
do.
I'm having to look at the totality, and again, not to pit our departments against each other, but the fact of the matter is that our library has come to us every single year for the last 10 years with a very reasonable balanced budget, and they've included an ask, which we've had to say no to every single year, and I don't like being forced to accept all these asks when we don't have a say in them, nor do we have a way of being able to say, okay, well, I'll give you A, B, and C, but not E, D, and F, and we're going to give something to the library, and we're going to give something to the schools, and whatever, It just doesn't sit right with me, but, that's me.
It's a hard one.
It's a hard one,
No, you have to find the balance for,
And again, it would be different for me if their budget was 150,000 5 years ago, and now it's 211, but it was 50,000 5 years ago.
It's come up a lot.
That's a 400% increase. That's
No doubt.
that's a huge increase in a bunch of years. So, anyways, rehashing stuff we don't need to. Anything else from you, Becky?
so I'll be, and I apologize for the late ad of South County. I with all the busyness of being away this weekend, I didn't follow up on that as well as I should have. But also, I've had the budget. I will get it to you this week. Tom is reviewing the concepts on the revenue side so that we will have firm ground, and that'll be a critical piece.
Great.
Good.
All right. Anything else? Beautiful. I don't see anyone else who's still online, and there's nobody here in person. So I'm going to say that we probably don't have a public comment. We don't have a correspondence today. No executive session. Finance committee has already adjourned. So at that point, I will entertain a
Motion we
motion.
adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. 8:36. Thank you, everybody. Our next meeting will be
8:30.
in a week on, what's the week from today? It's not the 27th, that's
The
today.
3rd of February.
3rd of February, thank you.
Third, then the 10th.
Our next will be on the 3rd, and that will be a normal select board business meeting, not a budget meeting.